You know, police arrested them, prosecutors helped convict them, but when it came time to put them in prison, judges gave them a chance to run. They're found guilty and then they're gone.
In America's crime capital, 7 Action News investigator Ross Jones has discovered that some of our area's most dangerous criminals are being given an opportunity to flee.
In a home along this suburban street almost every weekend for nearly 2 years, a father sexually assaulted his daughter. He did it, she later testified, in this basement starting when she was only 12.
He told me he's gonna kill me or he's gonna hit me.
And this is your dad?
Yep.
We're not naming or showing their faces tonight so that we can protect the innocent. The young girl's father was arrested, charged, and found guilty of criminal sexual conduct second degree, headed to prison for as many as 15 years. But before he was sentenced, Judge Vonda Evans gave him one last taste of freedom by continuing his bond, a defendant's promise to return to court. It gave him 6 weeks before he'd have to report to prison. He used that chance to flee.
I feel like that he has more rights than I do. Pretty much had to go in trial, tell everybody what he did, and then they let him go, and they say, well, he has a right.
Her father never returned to court and has never seen the inside of a prison cell. Judge Evans says she stands by her decision, and the prosecutor never challenged it.
You gave him bond. He's never served a day in prison. The victim would like an apology.
I follow the law.
This scenario is all too common inside Wayne County Circuit Court, where scores of men and women who committed dangerous and assaultive crimes are guilty and then gone. Felons like Demetrius Magwood, guilty of assault with intent to murder, felony firearm, and more. Though Magwood knew he would spend possibly decades in prison, Judge Edward Ewell decided not to take him into custody right away, instead putting him on a tether until his sentencing. Well, Magwood cut his tether and ran. He's been missing for 716 days. Judge Ewell declined comment.
You've got a victim who's now almost seen justice, and you tear that out of their hands to allow this person to go free.
These men, all guilty of firearm felonies, all given bond, and all on the run. There's Danny Young, guilty of assaulting a police officer and domestic violence, 4th offense, missing 462 days. Michael Lee Bonacy pled guilty to operating while intoxicated for the 3rd time, on the run for 393 days. And there's Kenyatta Perez, guilty of armed robbery and larceny and facing years in prison. Prosecutors say they urged Judge Carol Youngblood to take her into custody immediately. Instead, she let Perez stay out another month. She's been missing for nearly a year and a half.
These are probably the most difficult people to find because they have the biggest reason to run and hide.
Justin Butler and other bail bond agents are often the last hope to find these dangerous criminals and bring them to justice. Last week, we rode along with an apprehension team trying to find men and women running from the law.
U.S. apprehension. Open the door, please.
But to prosecutors and groups like Crime Stoppers, convicted criminals shouldn't be given the chance to run in the first place.
Why should anyone who has done terrible things in our community, once they're convicted, be allowed to stay on the streets and possibly commit another crime? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Demetrius Edwards is another criminal given a few more weeks of freedom. After pleading guilty to armed robbery and felony firearm, he knew he was going to prison for up to 12 years. Citing his otherwise clean record, Judge Bruce Morrow continued Edwards' bond for a few more weeks, and the prosecutor didn't object. Hours later, that same day, police say he would shoot and kill Sidel Leverett, a father and husband, outside Eastland Mall. His wife didn't want to talk to us for this story, but did want us to know that her husband would have turned 33 this month.
He was already found guilty of armed robbery. He knew he was going away. Why even give him the chance to flee or to do something even worse?
Well, I think that the chance to do something worse depends on who you are and doesn't depend on where you are. People offend in jail, people offend in courtrooms.
But he admits Edwards wouldn't be on trial for murder today if he'd chosen to lock him up.
We do the best we can, and again, our condolences to the Leverett family.
The father we told you about in the beginning of this story, while he was on the run from his criminal sexual conduct conviction, his family learned that he died of a heart attack. They say he got the easy way out, not having to serve a day in prison for the horror he inflicted. I'm Ross Jones, 7 Action News.